Hello everybody, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. I've kind of just gotten home from work. It's been a very long week. Been a 58-hour week. It's been a pretty long one this week. And as I was driving home from work, I was sort of thinking, as I often tend to do, there's not really much else you can do while you're driving, but I was just sort of letting my mind wander, and I was thinking a bit about piercings and stuff and the usual body modification things that float through my head. And I sort of I was thinking a little bit about various videos I could make, things people might find interesting, and I had a couple of ideas of videos that I will make at some point, but then I kind of got my brain stuck on a loop, I was trying to think about body modifications that I regret, anything that I regret, any piercings, heavy modifications, anything like that I regret. And I was thinking, the more I was thinking, it occurred to me there isn't a single thing I actually regret, which I think is probably quite unusual. In some respects, I think a lot of people especially people who start getting pierced fairly young, as I did. Well, I wasn't young, I was 16. No, I was youngish, I suppose. But people who start getting pierced in their adolescence, let's say, in teenage years, they often seem to regret the things, some of the earlier things they've done. That's quite a common thing to happen. And the more I thought about it, the more I realised there really is nothing I regret. There's no piercings I regret. There's nothing I regret. Nothing. The way I went about certain things in the past, certainly not ideal. Things I would never ever recommend anybody else do. For instance, I did a lot of self-piercing. I did a lot of self-modification. There's nothing. I certainly don't regret it. If I could go back in time to where I was then, I would probably do everything exactly the same way. It's all just been part of my journey, part of my personal learning experience. So that got me thinking. I was just thinking, trying to think of anything I actually regretted, and the only thing I could think of body modification that I regret, and I genuinely do regret, is my ears. Now, don't freak out and think what's going on here. I'm not going to be removing them or having them sewn off or anything like that. Quite the contrary. Don't worry, I'll explain. Obviously, I have been stretching my ears since I was 18. I'm 30, oh God, how old am I? 31 now. So I've been stretching my ears continuously now. Well, more or less continuously for 13 years. And I love them. The bigger they get, the more I love them. Now, what I regret about them is the fact that when I started my current job, about 2.5 years ago, it was during the period where I didn't really make any videos on here at all. And it wasn't intentional, it's actually kind of related in a way. The reason I didn't make any videos is because I was just exhausted all the time. I was trying to adjust to a new job, very physical job that I do long hours, like this week. And I put a lot of things that... I just got a message. I never get messages. Every time I'm recording a video, I get messages. Anyway, so yeah. Where was I? Yeah. So it was during this time that I wasn't really doing a great deal outside of work because I was still trying to adjust to a radically different work schedule. For instance, when I worked at Tesco's, where I worked for 10 years to the month, by the way, not that matters, but I worked there for 10 years, and I was never completely full-time. The most hours I had was the last year I was there, which was, I think, 24 or 25 hours a week, and that was it, which isn't really... I wouldn't personally consider that full-time. And so I had a lot of spare time to focus on other things outside of work, and then going from that to my current job, where an average week for me is probably anywhere from 50 to 55 hours, plus it's a 45-minute drive to work and back from work. I spend a lot of time at work. My job itself is very, very physical, so I'm tired a lot in my evenings and my time away from work. And because of all that, I let a lot of things that I was very passionate about at the time sort of slide. They went onto the back burner, and I didn't put as much effort into them as I should have done in order to maintain things. I mean, my ears are one, my weightlifting was another one. I used to be quite big and quite strong because I was lifting weights 6 days a week. And yeah, all these different little things I was very passionate about at the time all got put to the side while I focused on work. And the reason I say I regret that is because during that period, probably in the first 9 to 10 months of the job, I didn't really wear my earrings at all. They had, at their largest, they were 96 millimeters, and they had actually shrunk down a little bit before then. I can't remember why, but I had left them out a little bit for some reason. Sorry, I don't remember. For some reason, I had left them out a little bit previously to starting the new job, and they had shrunk down to, I think they were either 90 or 92 millimeters. So it wasn't a massive difference. It was just a tiny shrink, which is nothing unusual. Sometimes I shrink them down a little bit and stretch back up again. It just depends on if there's a reason for doing that or what's going on or whatever. But like I say, after I started the new job, during the initial adjustment period, and then for quite a while afterwards, I barely wore my ears at all. There were points where I'd perhaps put them in one weekend out of 3, and that was it. And so they would be empty for days and days, and even weeks and weeks at a time. And honestly, I genuinely do regret that. Because I never intended to do that. It's just something that happened. And yeah, they shrunk from, obviously, at their biggest, they were 96. They shrunk right back down to when I started wearing them regularly again. I believe they were 64 millimeters, which is literally a third drop, a third shrinkage in size, whatever you want to call that. A decrease of 1/3. There we go, that'll do. And so yeah, I have started stretching them up again slowly over the last sort of year to year and a half, however long it's been since I've been focusing on them again and putting not even a lot of effort in, just enough effort to keep them healthy and to slowly begin stretching back up again. I mean, they're back up to, they're 74 now. So I've put on 1 centimetre. Well, not put on a centimetre, you know what I mean? They've stretched them back up 1 centimetre from the year or so ago, or a year and a half. Something like that. Year and a half. Let's say year and a half. I've stretched about a centimetre in the year and a half since I started putting the effort into wearing them all the time again. And yeah, like I say, I really do regret letting them shrink so much, because when I was thinking about it earlier, had I kept them at that size, like for instance, I have managed to stretch them roughly another centimetre since then. If they were still at 96 and I'd kept them up at 96 millimeters and gone on to stretch them another centimetre from there, they would be 106 millimeters, which even by my standards, that I consider that to be pretty damn big. Like, I don't really consider these to be particularly big. They're not even 3 inches, and I don't really consider 3 inches to even be that big. But yeah, so there would be, like I say, about 106 millimeters had I stayed the course and just looked after them properly as I should have done. And yeah, I certainly consider 106 millimeters to be pretty big. That's over 4 inches. That's close, I believe, close to 4¼ inch. So that would be quite sizable, let's just say. And I do hope to get them up to that size again someday. I was actually looking for some of my old jewellery. I cannot figure out what I've done with them. I have put them somewhere in the move. They were all in a like a Sainsbury's reusable bag, 5p bag. And I put them somewhere, and I haven't got a clue where I put them, what I've done with them. But they're here somewhere. I just don't know where. I've just got to find them. I've got to go through some of the boxes we still haven't unpacked, and sort all that out. And yeah, find them all again. But yeah, in a not totally unrelated subject, I have definitely decided that in the near future I will start making my own earrings, and that will make the whole stretching thing a hell of a lot easier. Like, first of all, it'll be cheaper. I know obviously I'll have to buy a lathe to begin with, and that'll be a little bit of a investment, I suppose. But even that, they're not massively expensive. You can get them. You can get a reasonable lathe for around 100 quid, which isn't cheap, but still, like, these earrings, I think they cost me £70. So to buy a lathe and a block of wood, like, all I have to do is make 2 pairs of earrings, and I'm already getting my money back. So yeah, that's. I have decided that will be something I do in the near future, and I'm really looking forward to giving that a go. So I always remember when I was quite young, my granddad, my dad's dad, he was a very mechanically minded person, and he had these enormous sheds in his back garden, and he had all sorts of pieces of equipment, all sorts of pieces of machinery, and all sorts of things. And I used to play with a lot of it. I used to play with the jigsaw. I used to cut little shapes out of wood, and like a little pedal jigsaw. And he also had, I think I've said this before, I think he had 3 lathes, if I remember rightly, wood turning lathes. And he used to make me toys and all sorts of little things, and I used to love watching it, and it was always good fun when he'd make me something new. And yeah, I've always liked the idea of trying to make my own earrings, and so sort of thinking back to when my granddad used to make stuff, like he used to make yo-yos. He got really good at making yo-yos of all things, but yeah. So like I say, I am planning on getting a lathe in the relatively near future, and I need to sort out the shed itself. I haven't really done anything with the shed in the back garden. It's already got electrics in it, so that's half the battle right there. I just have to put stuff in it and actually start working on it. So once I get that going, I will start experimenting making some earrings. I'll just be making stuff out of probably really cheap, like olive wood or something. Nothing fancy. I don't want to get some rare, exotic, super expensive wood and then try and make my first pair of earrings with that and just wreck them, or something daft, or make really horrible, mismatched, misshapen, ugly earrings or something like that. Obviously, I'm just going to start myself off very slowly and build up. Just literally probably just start with absolute basic solid plugs, because that's, I'm assuming, most likely easiest, rather than jumping in with tunnels right away as my absolute first thing I'm going to try. But I will yeah, fingers crossed, if I start making a few pairs semi-regularly, I'll be able to make some literally like millimeter jumps, millimeter size increases, and that will make the whole stretching process so much easier. They are so loose at the moment. I could easily fit a millimeter, if not another couple of millimeters in there now. but yeah, so that will all be something to look forward to, and I will. Well, I say right now I intend to try to document the process of me learning to do this stuff, but knowing me, I probably won't. As I know that sounds bad, but when I'm doing stuff, I'm always focused on doing whatever I'm doing, not recording whatever I'm doing. That's something I'm really bad at, and I actually would like to get better at, because I would like to remember some of these things when I'm old. But yeah, so yeah, that's the plan. So I'll probably just be making very simple. So I've just been outside in the garage. I'm covered in cobwebs at the moment. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So I will obviously just start off by making lots and lots of just simple little wooden plugs and wooden tunnels eventually as well. And yeah, I have no intentions of trying to work with stone or anything like that. That I'd be willing to bet that would be a lot trickier, a lot harder, and a lot more time consuming. And it isn't something I want to dedicate massive amounts of time to. It's just something I want to be able to do for myself. And I have no intentions of ever selling them or making them for other people or anything like that. Or I don't know, maybe one day I might make them for friends. I have friends with other big stretch ears. If they were so inclined to ask, then I would consider doing that. But I would certainly never charge people to make earrings for them or anything like that. It's just not something I'm interested in. It's just something I want to learn to do myself and to experiment with a bit. And hopefully someday I'll be able to get halfway decent at it and make some really nice, pretty looking earrings. So I'm a big fan of wood earrings as it is. It's my favorite material. First of all, because it's so much lighter than something like stone, and they tend to be a lot warmer than any sort of metal or glass, or stone for that matter, which is really handy since I work outside most of the time. It's really handy for the winter to have something that doesn't get quite so cold. And plus, I generally find wooden jewellery just to be really pretty. Just the natural colours and the natural variations, even within individual species of tree and individual types of wood. Like, you can have 2 pairs of olive wood earrings and they can look completely different just due to the natural grain in the wood and the natural colourings in the wood. And I think I just absolutely love it. I just find it fantastic. I mean, I would love to someday make myself a pair of like pink ivory earrings and mess about with some ebony wood and just all these different fancy types of wood. I've got all these grand ideas that I would like to try out and experiment with. But yeah, first steps first, to actually buy myself a lathe and to yeah, actually get in the basic practice and just start making some stuff. So fingers crossed in the somewhat near future. It might not be this year, it might be the start of next year. I'm really not 100% sure, just because obviously I've still got the wedding to pay for and all that. Sorry, I'm just picking a lump off my I really shouldn't keep picking that. It's got a real scabby bit there and I keep picking. I'm going to end up making a scar. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so hopefully it will be in the somewhat near future, in the next couple of months, hopefully. If not, the start of next year. Just once I get a bit more of this wedding paid off, and then I will look into doing other little things. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I've been rambling on for like nearly 20 minutes now, I think. So I will wrap this up. As I have a few other videos. My throat is almost better. I don't know, I'm doing that. That's not my throat. My throat is almost better. I'm not really coughing too much anymore. My throat's still a little bit dry, and I've just got the tail end of the cold to go still. Once that's gone out of the way, I will get back to my other planned videos. And I thought of a few other videos. Like, I have a few memories from when I was very, very young. My first time I ever started noticing things like piercings and stuff like that. And I will probably discuss those in a video at some point. And I was also thinking a little bit about, along similar lines, of discussing a little bit about how my parents took it and things like that. Because my parents are quite different to me in a lot of ways. We're very similar in a lot of ways, but also quite different in a lot of ways. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about how my parents dealt with it and the interactions I had with them regarding the piercings and whatnot. And that sort of thing. Thought that might make a little, just a little interesting story as well. And yeah, there was a small handful of other things I thought, but I need to iron out the ideas and really think about putting them into proper decent videos, rather than just a long rambly one like this one has been. So yeah, anyway. Excuse me. See, the cough is still there, just. Anyway, I'm going to finish my alcohol-free beer, and I will speak to you all again soon. I will probably try and get another video posted this weekend. Well, not posted, recorded this weekend. Maybe post it Tuesday or Wednesday next week or something like that. Just so there's something in the middle of the week. But yeah, tattoo's healing up well. Really nothing more to say about that. Still a handful of dry patches, particularly around there. And that little spot in there that I was just picking. But yeah, overall it's healing up really well. And yeah, so that's that. And I will speak to you again soon, no doubt. Sorry this has been such a long rambly video, but hopefully there was something interesting you found in it. So yeah, ta-ra for now. Speak to you again soon. Good night.